You ready? Go. Okay,
Ready.
everyone, look. This is Hannah, my Hannah, and what's her name?
This is Hannah, my road manager.
And this is Hannah, my home manager. Hello. Say
Look, Hannah,
hi.
it's you. Look at you right there.
Thank you. That's lovely. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. I'm
What's the
leaving that in.
chances?
I'm leaving that in.
That's so cool. What's the chance you have a black cat who manages your home, your space, named Hannah?
And let me guess, mine is turning 11 in July. How about yours?
About 12 or 13, we think. We got her as a rescue. She was 6, and we've had her for about 6 or 7 years now.
Yeah, got her. She was like 8 weeks old. She was like a little tiny kitten.
Oh, that's so cool.
And
We're thinking about getting.
She's been 11-year-old troublemaker ever since.
Yeah, we're actually thinking about getting her a buddy for on the road.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, when we go, when we run errands, we're in and out of the camper. And then, of course, when I'm doing a show, we're loading in and setting up. And so she's in here by herself. So we think with another cat, a buddy, or maybe a dog first, that would help give her somebody to, calm her nerves and, make her feel safe, things like that.
That's too bad that you want to give her up.
No, get a buddy.
Oh, just get a buddy for her. Oh, right. So get another cat
Yeah.
for her.
Yeah, she's not going anywhere. We're just going to build the family more.
I actually had two cats. I had a gray one named Danielle, and I had a ginger one named Gulliver.
Good names.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast. We have Tom Sweeney here. He's the group Black. His music is Blakgraz, and it's not just music; it's an experience. A fusion of rock, blues, country, folk, bluegrass, pop, electronic, rap, Latin, jazz, and zydeco. Blakgraz embodies the energy, passion, and raw storytelling that leaves an unforgettable mark on listeners. With over 109 original songs spanning 11 genres, Tom has carved a unique sound reminiscent of legends like, get this, the Eagles, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Johnny Cash, Bob Marley, and ZZ Top. All some of them are dead guys. So but with a fresh, thrilling twist. Except, one half of ZZ Top is still around, and the Eagles. Except, but from collaborating with musicians across the globe to hitting millions of streams online, Blakgraz is making waves in the music industry. Having toured the U.S. since mid 2024 and gained recognition in 8 categories. Wow! At the 2025 International Music Awards, that's impressive. Blakgraz continues to prove that genre blending music is more than innovation, it's a movement. Welcome, Tom Blakgraz. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Well, thanks for having me, Chris. And wow, what an incredible introduction. Thank you so much. It's very generous of you.
You're very welcome. I like to ask, before I ask you about Blakgraz, I'd like to know, can you start from the beginning and where did you grow up and what made you want to get into music?
Oh, wow. So I was born in South Carolina. I grew up in southeastern Ohio and then went on the road after college and have been playing had been playing music for most of my life after that. So what made me want to get into music was that I used to sing at the church choir when I was really little. And well, actually, it started before that. My dad was an Irish tenor. He paid his way through college singing at Irish weddings and things like that.
Wow.
Um, my mom was a huge influence in terms of music. I grew up in Athens, Ohio University, and there's always these concerts that were coming through, and she used to take us. So we'd go to see bluegrass, or we'd go to see the Japanese koto drums, or we'd go to see a rock concert. She was just a huge influence. She would be taking me and always saying, "Oh, isn't it interesting what they're doing with this?" And so, and she knew that I was interested because I would go down on Sunday morning early to the first mass to sing in the choir. and then I would stay for each mass after so I could sing more in each of the masses, because
Mm.
the church was more college student oriented. So it wasn't just normal choir with an organ. They would have guitars and bass and drums and people playing tambourine, and a whole bunch of college students would come who also were studying music. And so you'd get to sit in, and at that time, of course, I was singing tenor. So you'd get to sit and blend with all of these young adults who really know what they were doing, and they made it feel easy. It was fun.
It's amazing. So you're a tenor. What sort of tenor? Could you be an opera tenor? Or you mean just your vocal range?
So I'm not an operatic singer. My range is tenor, and I can get pretty high. But I mean, I also go pretty low now. There's a lot of the songs I've written that require kind of a more baritone sound.
Oh, that's awesome. Um, I'd like to ask you, how did the concept of Blakgraz come to life? How did you get that name?
Well, the name is just a mishmash of styles, and I did that on purpose because I wanted to have music. If I was going to write stuff for myself, I didn't want to be limited or pigeonholed into one category or two, or even two. I wanted to be able to draw from anywhere at any time, just because I love all the music. If it's a good song and people are skilled at what they're doing, I'm probably going to borrow some ideas from them. You know? So Blakgraz basically is the black part for the rock side that I have a real passion for, and I've always kind of had a passion for that intensity. It doesn't necessarily have to be rock to be intense. Of course, opera can be very intense. Classical is very intense, but that fit for the name. And then, of course, the grass is more of the mishmash of the countryside, the bluegrass side, with the Z for the jazz side. And I wanted to include something about jazz in the name simply because my first real comprehension of the definition of jazz was from a foreword in a music book from Stuart Copeland, no, Andy Summers from the Police, the guitar player
Hmm.
from the Police. In the foreword, he said, really, the only distinctive characteristic of jazz versus other styles is syncopation. So basically, what that translated in his foreword was that every style of music is and can be jazz if it has syncopation in it. It could be considered jazz if it has syncopation. It doesn't have to have 1,000 chords, as long as it has interesting syncopation. The chords make it interesting and beautiful, but it's not required to be considered jazz. So I wanted to adopt that thought and apply it to my music, that basically I could do any style that I wanted to, and that's basically where the idea started. The other thing was to spell the name differently to make it easy to grab domains. So practical and artistic side to it.
So, what's your approach to blending so many genres into one signature sound? How long does that take? Like, do you have to have an ear for that? I think.
It took a long time. I mean, I've been playing, and I was, most of my career was playing covers. When I first went on the road, I was a bass player for a Vegas style show band. So we were doing Vegas style shows, backing comedians, backing singers, and then doing dance sets. And the dance sets, of course, were top 40. And then after that, I was in, a few rock bands that did covers and maybe a few originals. I had my own separate original project for a short while that did the same thing, covers and a few originals. And then I went out west and did a bunch of tribute bands where everything you played had to sound exactly like whoever it was you were supposed to be a tribute to. So that was a whole new discipline. But basically, the the Blakgraz was meant to be the borrowing of all of those elements that I saw work so well from all those different experiences.
Yeah. What were your biggest musical inspirations growing up besides Eagles and like did you have any more? Like for instance, you had like well, obviously you had legends like the Eagles, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Johnny Cash, Bob Marley. But were they also what you grew up to, or were there other groups that you kind of liked?
I mean, it's hard to, when you write a 100 or a 200 word bio, you're supposed to not name every single artist that you love. You name the ones that you think will help you to book a show, to be perfectly honest. And so I name specific names that people know. And then there's the names that people know but don't always think about. Um, for instance, Muse or Jim Croce or Cat Stevens or Paul Simon,
Hmm.
Simon and Garfunkel, Tommy James and the Shondells. And then you go up into, later artists. It's funny because the last 4 or 5 years, I've lost track of what new music is and really sounds like and who the up and coming artists are. But I got up to about the Arctic Monkeys and Jet and some other really great bands. Of course, things like Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and, all the great bands. Anything that, especially as a cover artist, you'd have to cover.
Hmm.
Even Billy Ray Cyrus or Hank Williams Jr., all of that stuff. It plays a part in what I try to do with Blakgraz, because Blakgraz, when I first started doing it, I thought I was going to use the same model that I'd used in the past, which was to play
Hmm.
covers, but to introduce a few originals here and there. And I got so sick and tired. We moved to Texas years ago, and I got sick and tired of playing covers that I was about to quit playing music. And my
Wow.
wife just told me, hey, you know what? Quit your bitching or go do your own music, right? Quit bitching and stop playing or go do your own music. I said, fine, if I do my own music, nobody's going to pay me.
Hmm.
Well, what I found out was that at that time, San Antonio, Texas was in the throes of dealing with BMI and ASCAP coming down on them hard with really heavy fines, upwards of $10,000 additional fines per year just to be able to have live music in a small venue, just a small rec.
Really?
Oh man,
Wow.
yeah, it was crazy. Well, now the wonderful thing though is it opened a door for me. So I went to one of the first places I played in San Antonio a long time ago was a Chris Madrid's burger joint, right? It's this iconic burger place in San Antonio. If you get a chance, go. All the folks that I worked with are still there. The management are still there, except for one fellow who had to go back to help with his family. Pedro and Carlos and Mercedes. I went and played for 2 hours for free for them. I said, just let me come in and show you what I can do, because they didn't have music on a Saturday. They only did Thursdays. And after I played for the 2 hours, the first thing they said to me is, can you come and play every Saturday? We'll pay you.
Wow.
So I had basically a platform to build anything I wanted. And I said, well, what is it that you'd like me to do? Because I played a whole bunch of different stuff just now. And I was using backing tracks at that time too. That's another story. I was going to do it acoustically, but my wife said, no one will know what the song actually sounds like if they go looking for it online.
Hmm.
And you've never been able to make it so people hear what you hear in your head. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. Well, they liked everything that I did, all the different styles, and they said, you can do whatever you want. So I got to play for 3 years building this show to a demographic that starts at infants all the way up to, the elderly. And it was
Wow.
300 to 500 people coming through, having a lunch or time during the 3 hours I was playing at this place because they were so busy. And I would hit every demographic. I'd hit birthdays, anniversaries, people who just had their weddings. I'd hit just people on vacation. People who were local, families, everything that you could imagine. And so I could write for each of those demographics for different times of the day and experiment with different sounds and watch these audiences respond and then
That's
make note of what they liked.
amazing.
It was really an incredible honor actually to be able to do that there. And they just kept
Wow.
saying, keep going, we like what you're doing.
Yeah. I'd just be more interested in wondering, like, can you describe the songwriting process for your tracks? For instance, "Close Your Eyes," for instance. How did you start writing that one? What do you do, the melody first or the lyrics?
It really depends. Often songs will come to me as ideas when I'm practicing, either on acoustic or electric. I'll just be running through the drills to keep chops up, and suddenly you have an idea for something. And if it's strong enough, I'll grab and start making notes of something that comes in my head. Now, that particular tune I wrote specifically for Samira Prentice and I to be able to sing together. She actually is a singer from Scotland, a super talented voice, just incredible tone, wonderful, wonderful individual, a dear friend. And so I was thinking about doing a song where we could sing together, but I also was experimenting with alternative tuning. And so that's kind of like an open G tuning. And I wanted to be able to play harmonica again, which is kind of nice. So that tune gave me all those elements. And with her in mind, I knew what key I needed to be in and what her range was. And then, of course, how to, phrase things, what she prefers in terms of styles and things like that. So that was a more calculated approach in terms of songwriting, that is.
Did you have more of a difficult time writing something like "It Don't Get Too Rough" or "Redneck" or "You Never Listen"? Was that about your wife?
You Never Listen actually is a song I dedicate from the ladies at a place to all of the men. But it was specifically an approach to try to copy the old Motown rhythm, and also the 80s remake of that song. Oh, shoot, I can't remember the name of it now. I can't remember. I think it was Naked Eyes is the name of the band. I can't remember the name of the
Oh,
song.
Naked Eyes. Yeah, they had songs like "Promises, Promises" when the lights go out. Yeah, I love that. I love that
So
group.
they had done a remake of an old Motown song, and I can't remember the name, but that was the feel that I was going for. It Don't Get Too Rough for Redneck was a collaboration with a dear friend of mine from Kentucky by the name of Rob Aldridge, who I just recently started working with. And he's a really talented fellow, too. He's got tons of songs. Talk about a great songwriter and a great voice. So that was us working together. That song was more his than it was mine. I just helped him finish it.
Can you just like what's the most unexpected place or situation that inspired a song?
The most unexpected place? Oh, that's a tough question. I don't know. I mean, I've written songs in so many different places, and it's almost always when I have a guitar in my hand, or if I'm driving down the road and I get an idea in my head. That happens often. So I do that. There are a couple songs in particular that I've actually dreamed. "Show Me the Way" was a full-on melody and words and the hook when I woke up. And the reason that's interesting is because usually if I dream a melody just as I'm waking up, I open my eyes and it drops out of my head. This particular song, "Show Me the Way," stayed with me for weeks. So I kind of took that as a sign that I better write it down. And then the other one was a really vivid dream of an Elvis like character singing "Baby's Coming Home." So that one specifically was kind of a tip of the hat to Elvis in particular. As the best I could do without being him.
That's my little Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
So people say, "Do you like Elvis Presley?" I say,
Oh yeah.
um, so how do you decide which genre to lean into when creating new song? Like for instance, Lady Pearl or Back to Comfort. Like, how do you decide? Like, maybe you want to take Lady Pearl and make it a kind of like a rocky heavy metal tune.
Well, Lady Pearl was one of my earlier songs, and that was when I was still experimenting with what Blakgraz could do before I had even really started playing out completely
Hmm.
as this show as it is now, especially. Um, so that was an arrangement that I had for a different song that I just didn't like on the other song, and I applied it to these new words and melody with Lady Pearl. So that was kind of a, well, I'm going to make use of this. This is a beautiful part. I'm going to put it on this story. Back to Comfort was basically because I heard when we moved to Texas, I heard of the town Comfort, Texas. And I thought, oh, that's got to be a song. You got to write a song about that. Well, it took a few years, but I finally got it. And the funny story about that is that I wrote the song, recorded it, started playing it out, and I'd never been to Comfort, Texas. And after the first time I played it out at a place called 1693 Distillery up in Fredericksburg, near Fredericksburg, Texas, some friends of mine, Dave Pendergraft and his son-in-law, Danny Ray Harris, they came over to the show, and I got to play it for them live because they were on their way to their show. So when I got done, I drove a half hour over to Comfort, Texas, and watched them play. So I finally got to visit Comfort, Texas. And so the story when I start that song is that it turns out I was right. The place is beautiful and the people were wonderful. I had a blast there.
Yeah, apparently you're going to be playing a show at 6 p.m. at the Enterprise, Alberta, live at Bugsy's Saloon, and then on 19th is Dothan, Alberta. Blakgraz, you play live at the Thirsty Pig. So you got a whole thing. I have to you got wow, you got a lot. Look at that. You got a lot of till June 27. You're going to be very busy. Wow. Wow. Aren't you glad that you said to that guy, I'll play for free? And then he said, I like you. Let's pay.
Yes. You know, there's another fella I'd like to thank too. That's my dear friend Chris Brinkley. He used to ride around a motorcycle, and he would take pictures of places in Texas where he was riding or other states he was riding and say, hey, you should play here. Hey, I just talked to the manager. Give this guy a call. Hey, you should try and play this place. Hey, this place has live music. And this was before I thought I could even do anything with it, you know. And he's just sending me picture after picture. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to take the hint. All right, I'll call them. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So, you know, Chris Brinkley, Pedro and Carlos and Mercedes at Chris Madrid's, and of course, all the places that I played at in Texas until we started going on the road. I'm deeply indebted because they allowed me to build the show to what it is now. And I'm very proud of it now.
What's been the most rewarding part of your music journey so far? And you're playing all these venues. Like, what's the most rewarding journey?
The most rewarding part of everything we're doing now is that every show I've played for a long time now in Texas and now on the road around the country is all original. I don't do a single cover. And I've played shows. In fact, this weekend I did 2 3-hour shows and 1 4-hour show. And when I play, I'm playing nonstop. So I don't take a break because I've just got too many songs that I want people to hear. You know, the joke is if I get enough songs in, they might like one, right? But basically, I have so much fun playing my songs and seeing people react to them that way that I just don't want to stop. And I'll go extra. I played, you know, a few minutes extra on that 4-hour show just because I started a little bit early and I ended a little bit after. And often on a 3-hour show, I'll go a half hour, 45 minutes extra just because people are having so much fun. That's that if there were the number one most amazing thing to me, that's it right there. Just to be able to do that many hours of continuous music of all my own music and have people singing, dancing, screaming and yelling. I get people doing conga lines sometimes. I'll run contests. I'll memorize their names, make it real personal. I just get their attention, and they don't even care that I'm playing originals.
Hmm. You're another you're one of those people who hate covers. No. What is your opener? What's your opener and your closer?
Okay, so I have to address that if you don't mind. I
Okay.
don't hate covers. I just prefer, you know, playing my own stuff. In fact, there are really great bands out there that do not only covers, they'll do tributes and sound exactly like the artist, which is an amazing skill. And then there's fellas who will do covers and make it sound like them doing that cover, which is another amazing skill, which is more of my preference.
Hmm.
I've just reached the point where I don't want to do else's music because I just love doing mine so much. And here's the other cool thing, Chris. Something This is a new experience for me, and I got to be honest, I did not expect it. when you've done your own stuff for that many hours, for this many years, and had this many venues and crowds and people, individuals say, wow, we had such a great time, you start to have basically the same confidence level as when you say you're going to play a cover song. If you know it's a, you got a crowd and you play the electric slide, somebody's going to get up and do the electric slide, right? You just know it's going to work. If you play Joy to the World, somebody's going to sing along on it. If you play Bobby McGee, somebody's going to get up and scream and yell, oh, I love this song. The cool thing for me now is with these songs, when I read a crowd and what style they like, I know they're going to respond this way or that way to this particular song or these particular songs or this grouping of songs. I've seen it happen so many times now that I have that same confidence level. And I got to be honest, I think that's a big part of why it works. That's what
Yeah,
I.
and you've been doing this for quite a long time, and your wife also loves your music as well. She is she that honest where she said, I don't know, I don't like that one. Maybe you should change this lyric here or get rid of the didgeridoo in here or something."
She is brutally honest, and I'm so grateful for it. When something is not good enough, she tells me, and I always listen. I always listen because she has been right every single time. And she's actually had some really great ideas too, in terms of words or melody or sounds. Lady Pearl is a really good example. She was the one who convinced me to have that little bell in the background. If you listen on headphones, you can hear a bell as an atmospheric sound moving from left to right.
Mhm.
That's Hannah, the road manager, our cat. That's Hannah's toy with a bell on it. And she said, you should put that bell in the background on this song. And I thought, well, that's really weird, but all right, I'll try it. And it was perfect.
Yeah, there's many musicians have signature sounds that they actually. I heard of one big rock star who played the guitar on another artist, but he didn't want any credit. He didn't want anybody to know he was on it. And I only found out about this when he was on my program. I think it was Alice Cooper or something like that was on the song, and he didn't want to be known. It would say Vincent F, like Vincent Fournier, his real name. Vincent F played whatever. But yeah, so that's amazing. So yeah, so you want me to send you the theremin then in the mail?
Yes, I love theremin. Yes, yeah. That's cool.
uh, so you've been touring since 2024. What's been the best? Oh, actually, wait a minute. There was that one you didn't answer. That's right. I think there was two part of that previous question, and there's one that you didn't answer.
I forgot. I apologize. What was the question?
Um, we did. What's the most rewarding part of your music journey so far? I think we said that one already.
Yeah, there was
Okay,
something else. Oh,
let's just move on.
okay.
I can't,
Got you distracted, Chris. I apologize.
that's all right. So you've been touring since 2024. What's been the best or wildest experience on the road?
Oh, Lord. That would be crawling under this camper and fixing it all the time. I had no idea I was going to become a diesel mechanic to keep things rolling. That's the wildest and craziest thing, easily. And in fact, right before I got on with you, I just finished putting 5 new running lights on the front of above the windshield of the camper, because it's a big 35-foot long camper that I'm in, with a slide out, and so it's a diesel pusher, 6 big tires. Well, we had rain in Tennessee a couple weeks ago, and son of a gun, if it didn't start dripping down inside onto the dash a little bit. So when it let up enough, I had to put packaging tape up there, and we had gotten new lenses to try and cover and fit and put butyl tape and sealed it up and everything, and it still leaked. So I was like, okay, so I had to cover it with tape until the rain was done, and we ordered the new fixtures, the new light fixtures, running lights, and we got them a couple days ago, and I finally had time today to climb up on top, take everything apart, clean the areas, right? Because you got to put them on fresh, new, clean. And then tomorrow I'm going to go up and put up seal caulking to seal them to make sure that they're new and they're sealed, but just to make sure no more leaking. And then the other big one has been the air system, the air brake system. It's air over hydraulic, and that air system also inflates four huge big rubber suspension bags that help keep the camper, when you're going around corners and stuff, keep it level, right? So it doesn't lean too much. The shocks help, the springs help, but those bags are really important. Well, if they don't inflate properly, well, then you're dragging tire on your wheel well, right? So I've replaced the dryer, I've replaced the governor, I've replaced the discharge hose, I've replaced the PCC valve. I put in a new sender for the front. I put in passenger and driver side height level valves, height level adjustment valves. So basically, it's attached to the axle and the frame, and then this lever goes up and down as he goes, and that tells whether to put more air into the bag or less air in the bag. So I've had to replace those. I still have to do the back one, but I mean that's what happens when you buy an older camper. I'm not rich yet, Chris, but give me to next week and then I'll be rich. So
Oh yeah, with all those songs you play and all these venues you play till the middle of June, I'm like, wow, amazing. Yeah. How does collaborating with artists from different countries influence your music?
well, I mean, I did it on purpose to open up the sound that I could experiment with. When I recorded with Matthias Ndeve from South Africa, he's in Johannesburg. He's actually originally from Mozambique, but he's in Johannesburg, South Africa now. And when I worked with him, I was thinking in terms of that style, rap, the style that he liked. He sent stuff to me. He had ideas that he wanted to try and sound like. In fact, the one song, our first song, Booty Goes Pop, was just kind of like a fun, let's see what happens, right? And it turned out to be really a lot of fun. And then the next one was just trying to make a living, which was more along the lines of, I'm not sure of the time era, but it's on a slower, more mellow side of rap with a real nice vocal melody in it, but also guitar. And I was able to put slide guitar in it and make it still sound legitimate, which was kind of nice. Then we moved. He actually had the idea to do something that sounded like Linkin Park, because
Wow.
one of the fellows I work with, Angelo Marzelli, he's actually the guitar player for one of the guitar players for Cold and University Drive. And he has this amazing, powerful rock vocal. So I got those two to collaborate on a song that I produced that sounded like something that Linkin Park would produce, right? And it just came out great. It's called My Life. So all of those experiences, and then working with Samira from Scotland, she likes the more pop and mellow, easier singing songs, more melodic, almost like Sarah McLachlan stuff.
Hmm.
All of that, everybody, every time, it doesn't matter where they're from. Dave Pendergraph, I worked with him from San Antonio, older fella, and then of course Rob from up in Kentucky. It gave me as Blakgraz the opportunity to work in their world musically and inject a little bit of who I am in that style as well. I always try to stay true to the style. That's one of the best compliments I ever got was Tatiana from Nana Music Productions. She's my new booking agent. She came out to see my show in Birmingham at the Nick just this last week. And she said it was really nice because when I would do each different style, it sounded like the style. It wasn't a country artist trying to do, Tejano, you know, or a rapper trying to sing heavy metal and it sounded like a rapper.
Hmm.
Each style sounded like the style it was supposed to sound like. And the main thrust of that was from my experience with Chris Madrid's. I was trying to present a show of originals that was a variety as if I were a cover band.
Yeah. You're mentioning Lincoln Park. I know I want to digress here for a moment. What do you think of the new singer Emily Armstrong? Because when they do that new song, "The Emptiness Machine," there's a part where she literally sounds like Chester Bennington.
I have to be honest with you, Chris. I haven't heard it. I've seen videos of them performing with her, and of it's been so long now since. That's why what I meant when I said I haven't heard new music lately, because we've been so busy with either keeping Rufus rolling down the road, booking more shows, or actually doing the shows. Or, for instance, the last couple days, I was able to plug in and get the computer up and running, and I released a new song called "Good Vibes." It's an instrumental guitar piece, and
Yeah,
that
wow.
just went up. And I've got 6 other songs that I have that are finished, ready to be recorded and then uploaded to DistroKid, but I haven't had the time. I just haven't had the time. I mean, it's good because everything we're doing is focused on growing Blakgraz, right? But I just don't have free time like I used to. And that's the other thing too. You go from one show to another of a 3 hour or 4 hour marathon, right? The next day you're stretching, you're warming up your throat, you're warming up your hands, you're grounding, you're taking in the right food to make sure you have energy for the night. It's like running a marathon. It literally is like running a 3 or 4 hour marathon, because you got to load the equipment in too, because I don't have roadies. And then you got to set up, then perform for 3 hours, then tear it down and say hello to everybody, and thank everybody. And then get in, drive probably for an hour and a half to 2 hours to get halfway to your next show, try to get some sleep, get up the next day, and do it all over again.
Wow. That's a lot of work for you.
I love it. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, you got to be really disciplined with your time.
So, what's your favorite song that you've ever written and why?
Oh, you can't ask me that question. That's not fair. I mean, I love all of my. I can tell you one. I really. Oh no, I can't. But here's an unusual reason for loving one of my songs. "Why Not Me?" If you get a chance to listen to it, that song was a test for me to see if I could do an alternate tuning as strange as Guinevere by Crosby, Stills, Nash Young.
Hmm.
You can't play Guinevere with that guitar tuning. You can't play any other song except Guinevere when that guitar is tuned that way. I mean, if you really worked at it, you probably could, but it's really tricky, right? So I wanted to come up with a guitar tuning that no one else had ever used before, and so far I haven't found another song that's used this tuning. Now, are you a guitar player?
No, I was thinking of taking up the bass, but there's so many different types. It's like the Taylor, the Gibson, the Sadowski, Stratocaster. I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Well, bass is, I mean, like any instrument, really what you need to do is you go to a store and you just start picking stuff up. You really need to just pick up, and you should probably buy a custom build bass. That's the company that endorses me out of Austin. They sent me on the road with 4 different guitars. They just said, "Here, just send us some videos and you playing them, and you can have these."
Wow.
And they're beautiful. Now, the really nice thing is that they're high quality, but he keeps them priced because he wants kids to be able to enjoy learning to play music on a good instrument that feels good to them. Remember, because when you play guitar, it can be painful, right? Until you get used to it. He wanted it to feel good to them so they would continue. And then as they got better and better, the guitar would be such a high quality guitar that they could actually grow into it and actually really start to use it without having to buy a new guitar. So when you're buying his stuff, he's building it for you or building it custom, and it's all the best parts, all the good stuff for super,
Wow.
super inexpensive. In fact, that was why I asked him to let me be an endorsed artist. We were at the store. It was JD Southside in Southside San Antonio. He they started My wife started handing me his guitars, and she's seen me go into stores for years, and I'll pick something that looks really cool and I'll just think, oh, this feels terrible. or it sounds terrible. It just doesn't, there's something wrong with this guitar. They look great and they're priced outrageously expensive, but they just don't feel right. So I always put them back, nope, put it back. She started handing me his guitars, and every single one, I'm like, you got to stop handing me guitars. They all feel amazing and they all sound great. I'm going to want to buy all of them. So finally, I just begged him. I'm like, listen, let me be an endorsed artist and let's work something out. I'm going to be going on the road. Let's do something. So he's like, okay, here, take these with you and just make videos occasionally. So if you want a bass, you try a custom build bass, and I guarantee you, when you pick it up and you feel it and you hear the way it sounds, you're not going to need to look for anything else.
That's interesting. So, what do you think? There's like a guitar out. It's like electronic guitar. You put it together and it allows you to play. You ever seen that one?
I'm not sure what you mean. When you say electric, I think of what I'm using and I plug in and it has strings. So is there something
Yeah,
different?
but but it comes in a box and you can put it together and doesn't take any cord. I think you charge it and then you can play it and it's I don't know what it's called, but people are playing it like it was. But I prefer I want to get into bass playing. I don't know which one to get, the Gibson or the Taylor, doesn't matter. But any like just to learn to play even the acoustic guitar, like you do. And
Well,
anyway,
acoustic guitar is going to be even harder than electric bass. And one of the good things about electric bass is the strings are big, so it's kind of hard to miss them, right? They're bigger. So now the only challenge with that is the bass player focuses on the kick drum and the guitar player focuses on the hi-hat and the snare. So don't get confused, right? That's one of the reasons it's so tricky to play bass and sing, is because the singer is subdividing more like the snare, hi-hat, and the guitar than they are when they're phrasing their words. Whereas the kick drum and the bass, the notes are very sparse. You get one shot for one note, and you better hit the right note or else the whole building shakes, right? And so to sing with this kind of subdivision, when your subdivision for bass is completely different, it can be a real challenge. That's why I think it was so amazing what Sting used to do.
I'm a big fan of Sting.
That and Geddy Lee, another really great singer, bass player. That's amazing.
There's a lot of great female bass players out there as well. One of them is Julia. Check her out. Well, actually, your wife probably won't let you, but I mean, well, you can check it out with her. Juliana Wilson. Juliana Wilson. She's really good.
Oh, I'll have to, Juliana Wilson. I'll look her up. But now, who was the one that worked with that young lady that worked with Jeff Beck for a while?
I don't know if that was Lita Ford. I'm not sure.
No,
Like,
not Lita Ford. She's a guitar player from the '80s. This was a young girl. She was in her 20s when she toured with Caliuta and Jeff Beck, and her on bass. And it was like this power team. They were incredible. Uh,
so a young guitarist, you said?
Young bassist. She was a female bass player. I can't remember her name, but she was a monster. And she did. I loved her work. Yeah, especially with
Yeah.
Jeff Beck.
I don't know. I was looking it up, but I didn't want to detract from the interview. But I know what you mean, though. There's a lot of just so amazing. Like even there was this 9-year-old bass player named Ellen, and she was good too. Anyway, oh well. Um, so yeah, so what if I told you hit 1.8 million streams? What do you think resonated with listeners?
I'm honestly not sure. And actually, it's way over 2 million now. So that was an enigma. I don't even really perform that song very often live. And it's actually,
Really?
yeah, it's actually about a character in one of my wife's books. She's a novelist and she's got like 17 novels out now. And so I wrote this song about a character who is a fella trying to win over this female character. And the female character was so damaged from previous experiences that she couldn't open up to him and he just refused to give up. Right. So That's where that song came from as far as an idea or story. And so for it to hit, now I've played it and I've had people say that it sounds like a spiritual song, that it could be considered gospel, or it could be considered something that would be played at church, right? Because at the end it says, why don't you believe me? Why don't you believe in me? Things like that. Uh, but as far as what could have resonated with it, I have no idea. I mean, I know I like the song. It's a lot of fun to play and it's beautiful. And I like songs that have meaning. I try to put meaning in all of my songs. It's usually from a place of, overcoming a challenge, or from a place of power, or a realization that opens you up to the potential that you have, those types of things. But that song in particular, I honestly don't know. Why did our one video of one of my country songs last night go viral on TikTok? I have no idea. It
Hmm.
was a live clip from Fred's on the River, and it just took off like a rocket. And we've tried to emulate that, replicate it again, same type of clip, same song, different venue, same time of day, shooting for the same demographic on the same platform, and you don't ever know. You
Hmm.
never know.
Yeah, you just never know. Um, so, Tom, how does it feel to have multiple nominations at the 2025 International Music Awards?
That is surreal. That doesn't even feel real to me. It's that honestly feels like I'm watching somebody else's story. When people talk about Blakgraz, is nominated, Blakgraz is nominated, I'm like, yeah, isn't that cool? That's amazing. They're so good. you know? what what does that mean for me? I have no idea. I mean, I think obviously for me, once you realize that they're talking about what you've done, it's an honor and a privilege just to be mentioned among all of those amazing folks from all around the world, right? um, but it's just still us rolling down the road doing shows and meeting people and shaking hands, so it's just surreal. I don't know. How do I feel about it? I'm honored. How's that?
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What do you hope people take away from listening to your music?
I just want folks to feel better, even if it's just a little bit better. That is the goal of every single one of my shows and every single one of my songs. There was a time in my life where I used to write stuff that was really dark, from a really dark place, a lot of anger, a lot of resentment. And one day I realized that that would be my legacy, and it just overnight changed. I started experimenting with much more positive, much more happy stuff that I used to kind of make fun of, even, or laugh at others playing things. One of my songs is called Sweet Thing, and it's basically a cop of, do you remember London Beat, the song Good Thing by London Beat? Do you remember they did a song called I've Been Thinking About You? London Beat,
Mm,
long
no.
time ago. Okay, so it was very poppy. And the second follow-up for them was a song called Good Thing, and it was basically like a Motown, um, kind of a chunk 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 chunk. So I wrote this song called Sweet Thing because I knew the kids that I played to at Chris Madrid's would go bonkers for this tune. And so I turned it into kind of a romantic innuendo without crossing the line too much that the kids couldn't enjoy it with their family, right? And not have any wonder as to what the other relationship references were, right? And sure enough, the first time I started playing it, the kids just immediately got off from eating their burgers and would stand up and jump around and dance, and everybody would take video of their kids dancing. It was hilarious. It was fun. And I'll do it occasionally just for fun to see what happens.
Yeah. I love your album Chaotic. Those are some pretty good songs like Blind Revolver, What Baby Likes, and one that I really like is called 9 Days. So that's really good, different genres. And when I looked at My Life, I said, he did a cover of the Billy Joel. No, he didn't. I guess not. I'm not gonna listen to it then. No. Um, yeah. So, Do you have any pre-show rituals before hitting the stage? And I just remember what that question I asked you. I forgot. So let's start with this one. Do you have any pre-show rituals before hitting the stage?
I sure do. I have to stretch and warm up physically, and then stretch and warm up my throat, because when I get on stage, I can't go 3 or 4 hours nonstop singing and shouting and talking to people unless I really take good care of my physical body, as well as the vocals as well, and including my hands. So that physical um, preparation is is a big part of the mental preparation, because when I start that, it's like a mantra. I'm going through all of these exercises, knowing that this is what I'm going to do this, and this is what I'm going to need this, and I'll need to be warmed up by this point, and this song will help me come back down from that song. So it all starts to kind of kick into gear. Those physical actions kick me into gear for the show.
And how long do you spend doing on that with a 4 hour set?
Well, it depends. If I've played a show, well, if I've been off for a few days, during those few days off, I'll warm up and sing a couple songs and then just stop, just to keep the voice going, right? And then the first night that I play before 3 or 4 shows in a row, or 2 or 3 shows even, I'll warm up a little bit during the day in the early afternoon, like when you take a shower, you just put on this little app, and it has some exercises, and you do them very softly. And then as you get closer and closer to the show, you do a little bit more physical exercises vocally, that get you more warmed up to the point where you're driving up to the venue. And then that hour, we get there usually at least an hour, but sometimes 2 hours early. I'll either eat or just start loading in right away and start speaking to people, saying hello, it's nice to meet you, start memorizing the staff names, and start loading it and setting up, and then the show will start. If it's a day where I've played already, I'll as soon as I get up, I'll start warming up very softly, very slowly, very easy. Start to incorporate a little bit more physical stuff, just gently as the day goes on. And then stop for a while, and then do a little bit more and stop for a while, and just let myself wake up slowly up to the same point where I'm loading in, and then doing the more physical stuff, more intense stuff, and then ready to go. So I hope that answered that question.
It sure does. Now the question is, what's your opener song and your closer song?
Oh, well, it depends. It depends on the type of venue that I'm playing in, because I've played blues houses, I've played country saloons, I've played variety rooms, I've played anniversaries, weddings, birthdays, I've played corporate shows, I've played shows where they just want all singer songwriter, which means that it probably don't play much electric at all. It's probably all acoustic, and I have enough music to do that. Um, but typically, if it's a variety room and they're kind of like, yeah, we, do what, read the crowd, you find out how they react to you and go with that. One of my favorite openers is a song called Felt So Good, because basically what happens is, in the beginning of that song, is there's these big swells over different chords, and I noodle on the guitar. Basically, it's a solo, but it's not. It's quiet. It's very dynamic. It's loud at first, and then comes down, and it's got their attention, and kind of, you know simmers for a bit, and then swells again, and then simmers for a bit, and shows them, look, I'm really playing, right? You're going to hear a full band with tracks, right? But I'm really playing, and this is what I'm doing. And then the song kicks in, and I start singing with it too. And then I start calling out names, and I'll change the words for songs according to who names I've memorized. So now they know I'm really playing, and I'm actually singing and paying, and I know who they are.
Hmm.
So it's a very good way to grab their attention with this big full sound with just one guy on stage.
Yeah. Wow.
In other words, it kind of
Amazing.
educates them to what I'm going to do in one song.
It's absolutely brilliant. Wow. So yeah. So Tom, we talked about TikTok and how that song on TikTok just made it grow. It seems to be a big platform for your music. How has social media impacted your success?
Social media, I would have to say that social media is absolutely vital to any success at this point for any business. Music, even more so. There are, um, especially for musicians who are doing it on their own or on a shoestring budget like us, right? You need a way to get the word out about what you're doing. And social media offers that if you learn how to use it correctly. I'm not a big fan of sharing a lot of personal information about myself on social media. I'm not even really a big fan about, honestly, putting my face out here because I don't want people to confuse Blakgraz with Tom Sweeney. Tom Sweeney is
Mm.
me. Blakgraz is the music. That's what I'm more interested in them discovering and enjoying, right? I'm not, I have no desire to be the centerpiece. Do you remember Steve Miller?
Yep.
Okay, he'd put on sunglasses and suddenly he was Steve Miller. He'd take them off and go ride a 10-speed bike around at the Coliseum he just played, and nobody knew who he was.
Yeah.
That's my hero.
Hmm.
Except I don't wear sunglasses on stage.
Yeah, TikTok. Everyone seems to kind of get TikTok famous on there. Um, I don't know why, but yeah, it seemed to work for you. You should keep it up, even if that second time that you thought that doing everything the same way you did with the first one, even if it didn't work, it has to do with an algorithm. I don't know what it was about the song that made it grow. Like I'm still trying to figure out um, my YouTube success because I'm like I got like 800 away from 4,000 watch hours, which allow me to get monetized, and it's taken 4 years, and people have said, "Oh, I got monetized in 2 months." You bastard. You know what I mean? So, so what advice would you give to up and coming artists trying to make their mark?
Oh, it's interesting. I was asked this question not too long ago. The first thing that you got to work on is your health, right? Because if you're not healthy, you don't have anything else. And you certainly can't get on stage and perform and actually do a high quality show. There's just no way. Not if you're really putting your heart and soul into it. And if you don't, then why are you bothering? I mean,
Hmm.
if you really don't want to put heart and soul into it, just become a DJ. And I don't mean a DJ like the guys who are mixing stuff on stage live and really putting on a show and taking elements and creating new stuff as they go. I'm talking about the wedding DJ or the corporate DJ that just kind of shakes their hand in the air and pushes a button, right? If you're not going to put yourself into it, then don't bother. If you just want a paycheck or you just want a party, well, then go to a party or go get a job, right? But so the health is the first part. The second part that I would suggest that they focus on is your skill. Whatever instrument it is that you're going to attempt to make money with, make sure that you're the best that you can be at it. You don't need to be Steve Vai. You don't need to be Neil Peart. You don't need to be Stevie Ray Vaughan or Jimi Hendrix. What you need to do is be the best you that you can be at this moment. So take it seriously, but don't take it too seriously, right? Learn the rules so you can break them musically, because that's what music is for. It's all about just shaping sound, right? Shape the sound. So if you have good health, you can put the good energy into it. And if you have good skill, then you can actually send the message to the people that you're trying to send. Because once you shape that sound, your job is to change their heartbeat to affect them emotionally, right? If you don't have that energy behind it and that skill behind it, it won't work.
Yeah, I remember that episode of Doctor Who I saw when the doctor was Peter Capaldi, and he had one scene where he was walking, uh, strumming and playing his electric bass guitar, and then I found out that he was in a band years before, and I'm like, oh, this is actually interesting. So there's so many celebrities and people out there that can do this kind of stuff, but they don't really tell you. It's like you could just be watching like the baker bake your cake and whatever, and then you're at a venue listening to a concert and you see him. Oh my God, that's the baker. He's playing the drums. What but you just don't know. But some people are musicians and themselves for they're not like I'm Geddy Lee and I'm a musician. It's like Geddy Lee, and then he's the member of Rush, right?
Hmm.
So,
Well, there's only a
yeah,
few of us that are crazy enough to try and do it at any level bigger than just playing locally, right?
right,
And you have to be kind of crazy.
yeah, um, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I asked one artist the same question. They go, "Don't."
It's all
So I'm
downhill
like,
once you become a musician.
yeah. If you could collaborate, now this is going to be a very interesting question, and I know that probably answer, but if you could collaborate with any artist, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
If I could collaborate with any artist,
Yep.
I'd probably Sting.
Really?
Oh man, yeah, I love his work.
Yeah, he's good. I'm a big Sting fan.
Well, he had a very broad palette, right? So when he went off on his own, he really started diving into the folk stuff and to the jazz stuff that he had always kind of loved before the Police. The Police fell into punk and then turned into other things, right? Reinvented all kinds of different sounds, but or just invented all different sounds. But Sting went way beyond that. I mean, he just kept going, and it was the pulling from all those different things that he loved that was an inspiration to me. So if I could collaborate with somebody, I would love to collaborate with Sting. That would be pretty incredible.
For me, I'd want to collaborate with Josh Groban and maybe Andrea Bocelli because I kind of I'm a tenor, but I also sing opera. Um, but yeah, that's what I would do. But that's
Oh,
what. So, well, how about someone dead? Who would that be?
Stevie Ray Vaughan. Yeah,
Good choices.
yeah, definitely Stevie Ray Vaughan, because the intensity of what he did at every show was incredible. I mean, every single time he picked up the guitar, you could feel the energy just like a volcano coming out of him. And sure, technically, what he was doing was innovative, and it was this kind of Texas swing blues, lightning blues thing, and it was different. And it was kind of Jimi Hendrix, and it was kind of other stuff, and or BB King, and all the great blues players that he was emulating. But nobody had the energy that he had, and he had skill beyond all of his mentors, but it was his energy that I was attracted to the most. That guy, I can watch him over and over and over again and never get tired of it.
Oh yeah, like every time there's another video on YouTube that says um, the best female guitar players part three or the best drummers part. I always watch it because I want to know who's out there, and I'm like, this is amazing. Like there's Mike. I don't know if you ever heard of Mike M, the drummer, who was like an eight-year-old drummer, and yeah, it's just. I bet you didn't know what Sting used to be before he was a musician. Let's test your trivia there.
All right. So you tested me. That's the pop quiz. He was an English teacher.
Darn it. Oh, I don't know how you knew that. Not everyone knows that. Yes, you win.
Ding, ding, ding,
Another
ding.
song on TikTok. Just kidding.
Yoo-hoo.
Well, thank you so much, Tom. Sorry, Blakgraz Music, Tom Sweeney. Thank you for joining us on the podcast. Everything will be linked down below, including your album Chaotic, which will and Spotify links and everything. People can get into your music and you find some new fans out there. Um, the last question would be so where do you see Blakgraz in 5 years? List of cities and states where you've seen and can see a Blakgraz show, and what would you like? Any upcoming projects or surprises for fans?
Okay, well, that's okay. So 5 years, I would love to be playing theaters, to 300 to 500 people. That'd be wonderful. I would love to be. I could do that for the rest of my life and be perfectly happy. To be honest with you, that would be great. We're already shooting for festivals for next year, and ticketed events more this year and next year, simply because the work that we've done since June of last year has allowed us a foundation of venues that will support experimenting with ticketed venues and experiment with festivals and such. So that's nice. I've got this really nice portfolio of places who are very excited to have me back and pay top dollar to have it. So that's the 5 year, what I would hope for. If it goes better than that or bigger than that, that would be wonderful too. I would be happy all the way along and grateful for every second of it. Now, the other question, I forgot what it is, so I apologize.
Well, that's okay. I'd just be interested in knowing, do you have a second album coming out soon?
Oh, what's coming up for fans? So I just posted Good Vibes, which is a guitar instrumental. So that's a new song that's out right this second. I put it up last night, in fact. It should be propagating to all the streaming services in the next couple weeks, but it might already be on Apple and Spotify. I also have 6 other songs they're basically ready for me. Some of them I'm already playing live. Some of them so you can see them at the show. Some of them I have not been able to finish even the backing tracks to be able to play them live. And I guess I should explain that. Usually when I have a new song, I'll create a backing track, a live mix of what I want the song to sound like. And then I play with it and watch audiences' responses. And I'll change things according to how audiences respond and how I believe I can use it in the show. So then once I'm done with that experimentation live, I'll create the studio version, and then that gets uploaded onto the streaming. So I've got 6 other tunes that are yet to come out. Plus, there's always the hazard that I'm going to be practicing and write another song very quickly. I have finally gotten to the point with being the diesel mechanic and fixing enough stuff and having enough shows booked out far enough that now I can start focusing more on the actual creative side again too, right? So when you're doing the DIY thing yourself, you got to hold all these hats at the same time. And now I'm finally got a couple plates that are just spinning on their own, and I can come over here and work on this stuff a little more, which is really nice. So that's what's coming up. If fans are interested, definitely come out to a show. Another super cool thing is that we actually started carrying merch. Now, I've always had print on demand merch through Zazzle.com. You can go through my website and get shirts, and you can customize them and all kinds of cool stuff. Lots of cool designs. But now we've actually started carrying Blakgraz beer koozies, which
Really?
are it's amazing. They look really cool, but what's amazing is how many people want them, and they actually start using them right away at shows. It's so much fun to see that people walking around with Blakgraz beer koozies. Hi, But it was a great way for us to experiment with, okay, this is not going to, kill us in terms of an investment to carry with inventory, and it doesn't take up too much room on the camper. So let's see how this works out, right? And so far, it's been incredible.
That's amazing, my friend. Wow. I want people to hear that song, It Don't Get Too Rough or Redneck. So you go to his Spotify, everyone, and it's there. And he has another single called Living Man with really good stuff. Blakgraz, everyone. Tom Sweeney himself was on the show. Can you believe it? Okay. We are going to end the stream. Just wait right there, Tom. We'll talk to you. Okay, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
You're welcome.